Okay, section 1. Transforming Ethiopia's livestock sector through specialization. A justification for focused system-based association or NGO model. In part 1 is introduction. Ethiopia possesses one of the largest livestock populations in Africa, yet the sector continues to operate far below its potential due to deep-rooted structural challenges. These include low productivity, fragmented value chains, limited access to quality inputs, weak veterinary systems, and poor market integration. Despite, despite numerous interventions by development actors, the sector has not experienced the level of transformation required to significantly contribute to national economic growth and rural prosperity. This gap highlights the need for fundamentally different approach, one that moves beyond traditional project-based intervention toward a system-oriented, specialized institutional model. The establishment of a livestock-focused association is therefore not a conventional decision but a strategic response to a complex development challenge. It is designed to function not merely as an implementing organization, but as a platform for coordination, innovation, and system transformation. The purpose of this document is to provide a detailed, logical, and professional justification for this model while addressing concerns and questions from stakeholders at all levels. Part 2. The strategic importance of livestock in Ethiopia. Livestock plays a central role in Ethiopia's socio-economic structure. It is a critical source of income, nutrition, employment, and resilience for millions of households, particularly in rural areas where approximately 80% of the population resides. Livestock ownership is deeply embedded in the livelihood systems of communities, serving as both an economic asset and cultural resources. Products such as milk, meat, egg, and honey are essential components of daily consumption for all segments of society, including infants, pregnant and lactating women, the elderly, and those recovering from illness. At the same time, the demand for livestock products is increasing rapidly due to population growth, urbanization, and changing consumption patterns. However, supply systems remain inefficient and unable to meet this demand. This imbalance creates a significant opportunity for economic growth, job creation, and private sector development. By addressing the constraints within the livestock sector, it is possible to unlock value across multiple dimensions, including improved nutrition, increased household income, and enhanced national GDP contributions. Part 3. Livestock as multi-sector development systems. A recurring limitation in traditional livestock programming is a tendency to treat livestock as a narrow, single-sector intervention focused mainly on production, example breeding, feeding, or veterinary services. This framing is incomplete and leads to underestimation of its broader development impact. In reality, livestock operates an integrated development system that directly and indirectly influences multiple pillars of socio-economic transformation, including one, income generation. Livestock serves as a primary asset base for rural households, enabling cash income through sales of animals, milk, eggs, hides, and processed products. Two, food security, nutrition, and health. Animal source foods, milk, meat, egg, are among the most nutrient-dense foods, contributing to improved child growth, maternal health, and dietary diversity. 3. Economic development and market systems. Livestock drives value chains involving input supply, production, aggregation, processing, transport, trade, and export, making it a core contributor to both rural and national economies. Third, livelihood resilience. Livestock function as a risk management asset, providing households with a buffer against shocks such as drought, crop failure, and inflation. Gender inclusion and employment. Women are often key actors in small livestock production and processing, meaning livestock systems can significantly influence women's income control, decision-making power, and economic participation. Youth employment. The livestock value chains offers diverse employment opportunities in input supply, fattening, veterinary services, logistic processing, and agri-tech services. Social protection and wealth accumulations. Livestock act as a saving mechanism and form of informal insurance, particularly in pastoral and agropastoral systems. The key insights, therefore, livestock shouldn't be framed as a single intervention sector, but as a cross-cutting economic and social system that interacts with multiple development pillars simultaneously. Treating it as a standalone sector limits its transformative potential and leads to fragmented policy and investment approach. A system-based approach is required to fully unlock its impact across livelihoods, nutrition, gender equity, and economic transformation. Part 4. The case for specialization. One of the key strategic decisions in this model is the exclusive focus on livestock rather than adopting a multi-sectoral approach. While many associations choose to broaden their scope to access diverse funding opportunities, this often leads to diluted impact and limited technical depth. In contrast, specialization enables an organization to concentrate its resources, expertise, and strategic efforts on a single domain, thereby increasing its effectiveness and credibility. The challenges within the livestock sector are not superficial, they are deeply structural and interconnected. Addressing them requires a high level of technical competence, continuous learning, and sustained engagement. A specialization association or NGO is better positioned to develop this competency, build strong professional networks, and design targeted interventions that address root causes rather than symptoms. In this sense, specialization is not a limitation, but a strategic advantage that enhances the organization's ability to deliver meaningful and lasting impacts. Part 5. Understanding the complexity of livestock systems. The livestock sector is highly complex and interconnected systems characterized by multiple actors, processes, and institutions and value chains that interact in dynamic and often non-linear ways. Unlike simplified sectoral models, livestock systems operate through continuous interactions between input supply, production, animal health services, feed systems, processing industries, distribution networks, and final markets. Each of these components is not independent. Rather, they are mutually reinforcing and interdependent, meaning that a disruption in one segment inevitably affects the performance of the entire system. For example, constraints in feed availability directly reduce animal productivity, weaken immunity, increase disease vulnerability, and ultimately reduce market supply and household income. Similarly, weaknesses in veterinary service lead to higher mortality rates and lower productivity, which negatively affect processing industries and market stability. In this sense, livestock systems behave as a complex adaptive systems where outcomes are shaped not only by technical inputs but also by institutional arrangements, behavioral responses, and market incentives. Because of this complexity, traditional development approaches have often struggled to generate sustainable transformation. Interventions have typically been fragmented, with different actors focusing on isolated components such as animal health, breed improvement, training, or infrastructure development. While each of these interventions may have technical merit, their limited coordination means they rarely address the systematic relationships that determine overall sector performance. As a result, improvements remain localized, short-term, and difficult to scale. A deeper structural challenge within this complexity is the institutional separation between professionals and actual livestock business system. In most traditional arrangements, livestock professionals, including researchers, veterinarians, animal scientists, and extension experts, operate primarily within public institutions, academic environments, or donor-funded projects. Their roles are largely oriented toward research, training, policy advice, and service delivery from a distance rather than direct engagement with operational realities of livestock markets and enterprises. This creates a significant disconnect between technical knowledge production and the real-world system dynamics. Many interventions are designed based on theoretical understanding or research findings that do not fully capture the behavioral, financial, and market-driven realities faced by producers, traders, processors, and input suppliers. Consequently, solutions may be scientifically valid but practically misaligned with how the system actually functions on the ground. This separation also limits the ability of professionals to understand the depth and lived reality of the livestock business systems. Critical elements such as informal market structures, price negotiation mechanisms, risk-sharing arrangements, seasonal demand fluctuations, and incentive structures are often better understood by market actors than by technical experts. Without direct exposure to these dynamics, professionals risk developing fragmented or incomplete solutions that address symptoms rather than root causes. Over time, this structural distance has weakened the feedback loop between knowledge generation and system performance. In a well-functioning system, continuous interaction between professionals and market actors enables rapid learning, adaptation, and innovation. However, when professionals are detached from operational realities, this feedback loop becomes weak or broken, limiting the sector's ability to evolve and respond to emerging challenges. The combined effect of system fragmentation and professional detachment is a persistent pattern of low impact interventions and weak transformation outcomes. Even when significant investments are made, the absence of integrated system thinking and embedded expertise results in limited scalability and sustainability. Recognizing this, the proposed model reframes the livestock sector as a coordinated ecosystem rather than a collection of isolated interventions. It emphasizes the need to organize professionals across the entire value chain and embed them within a continuous system of interaction, learning, and problem solving. This approach transforms complexity from barrier into a strategic advantage by enabling integrated decision making and system-wide coordination. Through continuous dialogue between professionals, producers, enterprise, and institutions, the system creates a dynamic environment where knowledge is not only generated but also immediately tested, refined, and applied within real market conditions. This integration enhances both the relevance and effectiveness of interventions, ensuring that solutions are grounded in practical realities. In this way, understanding livestock complexity is not merely about mapping value chains or identifying constraints. It is about recognizing the systemic interdependence of actors and the importance of embedding expertise within the functioning of the business ecosystem itself. Only through such integration can the livestock sector move from fragmented intervention towards sustainable, large-scale transformations.